Hello everyone, thank you very much for hosting this event. It's been a real pleasure and an eye-opener to the potential that Saudi Arabia can offer. Leading Edge Materials is a Canadian company, we're a public listed company. So I will show you the forward-looking disclaimer. What does Leading Edge Materials do? We say we do materials for change. So let me dissect the word change a bit here in this context. Change, primarily for us, is exponential technological development. We talk about energy storage, electromobility, renewable energy. These are the technologies that we see growing exponentially today. Beyond that, we see other technologies, quantum computing, magnetocaloric refrigeration, maglev trains, etc. Change, which is enabled by these technologies, is changing to a more sustainable world. Also, another part of the change is rebuilding economies from the ground up with new industrial sectors. So the materials that we focus on is what normally is called critical raw materials, where we see exponential growth in demand looking forward, but also high levels of supply risk. We got at the top rare earth elements for permanent magnets, which go into the electric motors, that go into the electric cars. Permanent magnets are also in wind power generators, but also in the future, magnetocaloric refrigeration, quantum computing. Graphite is used in the batteries. Lithium-ion batteries is another material that we look at. So the projects that we have targeting these materials, we have a graphite mine in Sweden. It's fully built, permitted. It has been producing graphite concentrate in the past. It's one of the few graphite mines like this in the Western world. We hold it on an operational ready basis, whilst we've been developing the downstream processes to refine our graphite concentrate into an anode material that can go into the lithium-ion batteries. We've presented a scoping study last year on that vertically integrated mine to anode material business case. It demonstrates a 19-year life of project, demonstrating 250 million NPV post-tax, and the yearly EBITDA of $50 million. In October, we also presented plans for a joint venture with the Australian technology company for the production of the next generation of battery materials, so silicon graphite composite materials, and we're working on developing those plans forward. That's our small project. We have a larger and more strategic project, but which is not as mature. It's a rare earth element deposit. It's the Norra Kärr heavy rare earth element deposit. It's one of the world's most significant rare earth element deposits in terms of the unusual enrichment of the most valuable rare earth elements. So dysprosium, terbium, but it also has neodymium and praseodymium. It's a strategic project. It's been recognized by the European Union as a potential alternative to the current dependence on China for the rare earth elements. For this project as well, we presented a scoping study last year where we completely redesigned project from the past plans of the project. There was a PFS in 2015. We've now gone back to a PEA where we've redesigned the project plans. The economics around that project look very good. So it's a $750 million NPV post-tax at a 200 million annual EBITDA. It demonstrates the mining, the processing at site, producing a mineral concentrate that gets shipped off for the chemical processing at a more suitable location than the deposit site. Lastly, we have a very small exploration project in Romania where we're waiting for an exclusive exploration license for nickel and cobalt. It's in the Tethyan Belt, a very interesting exploration area, but we have only done very preliminary prospecting work, but which gives us optimism around making high-grade nickel and cobalt discoveries. Critical raw materials, for us, criticality, a way to solve the supply risk is the location of our project. The graphite mine is in central Sweden. We got 90 kilometers to the coast, which gives us access to industrial ports, the main freight train line, and land road access to continental Europe. Over the last year, European industries have experienced supply chain disruptions. Having a secure alternative in their backyard is very much to look forward to. Graphite, expected demand growth is huge. We're looking at a 1 million ton per year of demand for the European battery industry alone. There's only a handful of projects like ours in the European Union, and if we sum those up, we're still only supplying a very small fraction of the expected demand in Europe. The middle image there is the map of the planned lithium-ion battery factories in Europe. We're talking about 1 to 1.3 terawatt hours annual capacity, and we're looking to provide a supply to that market. Same again, the location for our rare earth element deposit is very strategic. It's in a very central location. We're neighboring the biggest highway in Sweden. We got less than 350 kilometers to all major industrial ports, and same thing here again. Direct land access, we can truck material to continental Europe. And even more interesting, looking at the world map where we see clusters of significant rare earth element deposits. There's a number of deposits in North America. There's a number of projects in Brazil, Africa, China, and Australia. But when we look in the European Union, there's only one deposit of this type, and that's ours. So it's a strategic deposit for the European Union to become more self-reliant on these future materials. When we talk about sustainability, a benefit for being located where we are is the energy source, same as here in Saudi Arabia. The cost of electricity, all the processing of critical raw materials is very energy intensive. But also, we have access to hydropower, which comes at a minimal carbon footprint. This gives us a strategic advantage due to location, and something that I've recognized here in Saudi Arabia as well. Where do you get your energy supply from? Talking about moving over to the financial side, there's been a lot of mention over the days of the value chain perspective, and we're seeing that, but from an investment point of view as well. So you can, on a bi-weekly basis, read about new battery factory plans to be built in Europe. They get funded by private and public money. They're moving into production. On the upstream, the raw materials that these downstream projects will need, the picture is completely opposite. That has been changing over the last 6 months with a significant interest from both institutional investors, downstream customers, to actually start securing the upstream. And this is critical for us to move our projects forward. We have a market cap, so our shares trade on the venture exchange in Canada, in the US, and also in Stockholm in Sweden, where I am, as the CEO, I'm based and managing the company from there. 85 million Canadian market cap. Over the last few days, it's gone up by 20% again. We got a 50-50 split between North American and European investors. The European investors are much more institutional, family office, high net worth individual type of investors that see these projects as important for Europe and wanting to bring them into production. We got a very experienced board. Our chairman, Lars-Erik Johansson, joined us after previously having been the CEO of Ivanhoe Mines. Daniel Meyer, a very experienced mining executive and mining engineer, CEO of a uranium exploration company. We also have the largest shareholder, Eric Kraft, who's a Swedish citizen but lives in Europe. He's on the board as well. So the board of directors is very much aligned with the shareholders. And myself, running the company out of Sweden. I come from a financial background, so the financial industry. I've been with the company since 2017, first as a non-exec director, transitioning into CEO. 35% of the shares are held by directors and myself, so we're very much aligned with the path forward. I'll stop there. I have some time left, but I chose not to go into too many technical details. Critical raw materials are very complex in terms of we're building out new processes, new project designs. But I'd be very happy to talk with anyone who's interested in these areas, whether it's graphite, rare earth elements. And to end on an interesting note, rare earth elements were discovered in Sweden in the late 1700s, just 20 minutes away from where I live in Stockholm. And it's really taken the world 250 years since then to realize the potential of these very unique elements on the periodic table. And it'd be a fantastic achievement to bring production back to Sweden 250 years later. Thank you very much.